Who are you? Well, so who are you? Well, I Rainbow Brite, and did I TWINK, and I'm STARLITE, which you can't see me in this film because I'm small. Right there. All right. And who would you be? I would be Superman or Overman, but my true name is Kent Clark, or Clark Kent. Yeah, Clark Kent. And it is truly good to meet you, Rainbow Brite. So, are you a over good doer like me? Well, I do have, I can say I do have might like you do, but my might isn't, strength or, seeing through things, or flying unless you count being on Starlight and then riding on rainbows from world to world. My strength or my might comes from my cast strap or my cast, or the rainbow strap. It was entrusted to me by God and Jesus after I showed myself to be worthy and bold of it. And I understand you came from another world. Krypton is the world that I came from. My world was ending. Something bad was going on in my world, and every law mote in the world was warring with each other. Every land was warring with each other. So my mother and father, wanted to get me off of Clipinoid to Earth. And they picked Earth because they knew that there was folks on Earth who would be like me, man like woman like beings, and that I having strength and might that they didn't have, that they might see, that I would do good with it. And so I was sent to that world all the way to Earth, where I was fostered and raised by the Kentkin. And the rest is yesteryear. I went on to work for the Daily Planet or the Daily World. I met Lois Lane. You know how all those things went. Yeah, I understand that, that you had some games, film games, and they weren't really that good. I mean, like there was a one on the Nintendo Glee setup, which wasn't really a good game. There was a one on Nintendo 64 when everybody just put 64 at the end of every name. Yeah, those games weren't really the greatest, Rainbow Bright. So, what do you oversee? Well, I handle cast and light and brightness, and I bring it not only to Rainbow Land, not only to Earth, but to all worlds, you know. And I am truly sorry of what happened to your home world and everyone that lived on there. But you know what? I believe that they're all up in heaven now with God and Jesus now. They're at rest now, good stead. They'll be missed. Yes, I do believe that. God takes care of his own, and God helps those who help themselves. That's what I was taught when I was, growing up by my fostered earth, I guess, bearers, the Kents. Well, that was truly good. So, what I do is I help the helpless. I fight for the greater good. I work my might, which God gave me and Jesus gave me, to help others and wrong rights, And sometimes I don't always get it right. A lot of over good doers, we're flawed like everyone else. We make mistakes, Sometimes we don't think before we do. Sometimes we choose what we think is the right thing at the time, not knowing that it was the wrong thing after the thought. Yes, I believe Superman or Overman or Clark, that is the way life is. We're all flawed. We're all sinners. We all make mistakes and have mishaps. We all said and did things we didn't mean to do and that we wish we could take back. But we all have sins and misdeeds that we also atone for. But you know something, Clark or Overman, Jesus He gave his life for sin. He atoned for every sin that I would make and that you would make, and every mishap that we would make. So we could get to heaven, because Jesus loved us so much, he was willing to give up his life for us. And God loved us so much, he was willing to put his son through that. Yeah, Twink says. So, even though, yes, we're still sinners, and yes, we still make mistakes, and yes, we still make mishaps or do mishaps, where God loves us and forgives us for all of that. And yes, God is still all-knowing and all-seeing and almighty and all righteousness and all holy, you know. And I like to think that both of your bearers, your bearers from the world Klypton, if that is how your world is said, and your bearers here on earth, they would all be looking down on you and they would be happy with what the man that you became. Yeah, Starlight says, you did a lot of good over, man. You righted a lot of wrongs. Yes, you made some mistakes. Yes, you said and did things you didn't mean to do, but it's all forgivable. It's all atonable, And we understand that, that some folks might might say that mankind and womankind aren't good at all. But that's not true. God sees good in us. Jesus sees good in us. And yes, they also see the sins that we do. But they love us and forgive us for those sins and for those mishaps. Yeah, you're right, Twink. You're right, Starlight. You're all right about that. And I understand, well, let you know something. I never knew who my mother and father were. They died a long time ago. So I was raised by some other folks. And one day, this would have been 40 years ago or 41 years ago, that God and Jesus asked me if I would come to a world which didn't have any light, any brightness, any cast, and that I would help bring that to them. But you see, it wasn't me doing all that. It was God and Jesus working with me and through me to do it. I just do it in their behalf. They're the ones that truly do it, so they get the thanks for it. But I chose to do it, You chose to do what you thought was right. Well, thank you for that. And is it true that rainbows truly make folks happy? Well, yes, they do. It was good meeting you, Superman, or Clark Kent. And it was good meeting you too, Rainbow Brite, or Wisp, or, or Twink, or Starlight.